So when people are like, "Oh, well, like, what do you mean raise your vibration?" Well, it's as simple as feeling these more of these emotions more frequently. Again, we're not supposed to
Mhm.
constantly feel like joy until maybe we've ascended to some incredible like higher state. Then maybe that is the case. But certainly as human beings as we are right now, there's nothing wrong with feeling these quote unquote negative emotions. That's important. However, what we're working towards is feeling on a more higher majority of the level things like peace, joy, love. And so on the scale, he's able to measure in some sense what these emotions are. So at the bottom of the level, you got shame, which is a 20 out of the scale. And then guilt, that's a 30. Apathy is a 50. Grief is 75. Fear, 100. Desire, 125. Anger is 150. Pride, 175. Courage is at 200. And neutrality is at 250. Neutrality is very obviously neutral. And that's
Yeah.
a beautiful,
Yeah.
that's a place of letting go in a lot of ways. I think neutrality really helps with like just that idea of like, I'm just going to almost in a sense surrender to this flow of my life. But that's and then it just continues to go up. Acceptance 350, reason 400, love 500, joy 540, peace 600, and enlightenment is 700 plus, which is at the top of the scale. And so when we're talking about raising our vibrations, that's one of the more simplistic and tangible ways is just to kind of check in with how you're feeling every day. And like you're saying, Lisa, like go into the day expecting miracles and magic. Go in with that like, wow, I wonder what interesting things are going to come into my sphere today, and that can help
Yeah, I
bring
love
it out.
yeah. I love that you brought in David Hawkins stuff. I love his work. One of the most profound things that I read, I don't remember which book it was, and it may have been Power versus Force, but one of the most important things about this consciousness scale, and it's I don't think it's called the consciousness scale, but I think it's called something slightly different. But at the lowest scale, think about how many people live in shame and in guilt. And we'll have another podcast around the dogma principles and the collective culture of religion and how that keeps people in a state that is in the lowest vibration. And as we ascend our consciousness as humanity, when, for example, when Jesus was on earth playing, he was one avatar that was vibrating at such a high frequency that he was able to, and this is David Hawkins's interpretation, he was able to cancel out all the negative collective energy so that at his birth or death, resurrection, it started at zero again. And now, as we are increasing as a collective through the last, 2000 years, 20, um, more and more people are raising their vibration and canceling out more people. So what I mean by that is they're canceling out the negative, and it's like a scale, right? So what we're trying to do, instead of having one person, right, or one soul or one avatar come in and try to transcend the entire humanity, now we're seeing a rise of more enlightened people that are bringing about the cancellation of negative energy that will, I'll just use the word, shifting the pole, right? So it's not based on just a few avatars coming in to shift the collective. When I That would be one of those moments when you had asked me, in your life, I I remember what I was doing, where I was, what I was wearing, the exact moment when I read that in the book, and I was like, oh, okay. And something happened. And this was years ago. I mean, this was like in the early 2000s. And I just remember like something inside of me absolutely changed. And I was forever changed by understanding that.
It's like enlightenment through knowledge and understanding, right? Like there's so many ways to quote unquote raise our vibration or to attain this kind of ambivalent, or not ambivalent, this like ambiguous idea of enlightenment, right? It's different for anyone that ever talks about it, but really, what that is just coming into a better understanding of life and your own self and reality around you and within you. And when you, it can be through meditation, it can be through reading a book, it can be through going to a lecture, listening to a podcast, going down a YouTube rabbit hole. I watch a lot of Gaia. It's great, great streaming platform for a lot of people. If you're interested in expanding consciousness, anything on that platform is going to help do that for you through information and through video. And so there's so many. It doesn't have to just be. And I do encourage people to go through the more, let's say, organic approaches like meditation, nature walks, a million other things, breath work, things like that. But also, modern day technology isn't such a bad thing overall. Let's take advantage of the internet, all the knowledge around us, and just learn, soak up this stuff. And I know Lisa and myself are avid learners, like addicted to learning and all the fun that comes from just every day. There's new things to enhance our experience that we can learn about our reality. And so that's also a fun way. I mean, I know that for me has been a big part of my own awakening has actually all come well, not all, but a lot of it's come through knowledge at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think, you know, thinking about the scale of David Hawkins is to me, it's a phenomenal way to check. When do you feel guilty? What does that look like when it comes up for you? Or if you feel shame, or if you're feeling like these low vibrational feelings, um, to have the courage, because you are worth it,
Mm-hmm.
right? We are all worth it, listener, to take a moment to see where did that come from, and is it even yours? And for the most part, when we get to a certain age, we are not really ourselves. We are a fragment or a fractal of who we really are, because we've been conditioned and programmed by our preachers and teachers and peers and media and parents and da, 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 right? So part of this, one of the reasons that Chris and I are doing this is it's an amazing journey to be the onion and to peel back those layers. Like, man, that's not me either. That's not me. I thought that was me. I was carrying around that thing for a long time. I don't really want that anymore in my life. Okay, take that away. Take that away. And what we have found together, I don't want to speak for you, Chris, but I know you and you know me. It's like, man, does it feel so amazing to have all these incredible epiphanies about what no longer serves us. The lightness that we feel, like, man, I thought that was who I was. I thought that was who I was supposed to become, but that was an interpretation of somebody else that I was becoming. And so take the moment, you owe it to yourself to just say, you know what, I want to change today. What one thing can I see about myself that could be maybe altered? And find that forgiveness thread. Ugh. I mean, that sits in the soul hard and deep for me, is that forgiveness thread. And when we forgive mainly ourselves, there's this redemption. This is amazing.